So welcome, Bandhu. This is my show, Random Rants with Tousif, and I'd like to officially welcome Mr. Adnan. Come on,
Thank you. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah.
very
Doing
good.
good.
Looks like তোর ওইদিকে মোটামুটি তুই ব্যস্তের পথে রওনা দিয়ে দিতেছস, দেখিস আবার পাপি মানুষ আমরা আমরা আবার ওই যে মানে তুইলা নিয়ে চলে যায় এদিকে। সাবধানে থাকিস, ব্যস্তে যাইতে টাইম আছে, আল্লাহ যেন পরে নেয়, আস্তে ধীরে নেয়, তাড়াহুড়া নাই।
অসুবিধা নাই দোস্ত, গতকালকে রাত্রে আর কি বুঝছিস, এই শবে বরাতের জন্য মসজিদে যে পরিমাণ হালকা হইলো, তো আমি আইসা নামাজ পড়ছি এদের হালকাও শেষ হওয়ার পরে। তো এর মধ্যে তারা মোটামুটি ধর কয়েকটা ফ্ল্যাট এবং জমি বেচা ফেলাইছে বেস্ট, মানে ভয়াবহ অবস্থা।
দেশে তো
আমি
এখন ছাদেরও
আমার
জমি বেচে তো,
হ্যাঁ
কাছাকাছি জমি বেচতেছে তো, নো প্রবলেম। সো এনিওয়ে,
হ্যাঁ
about this one, I started this one because I just love renting. তুই জানোস, I rent, I like, you like, so that's why. So why not make it official? So yeah, and তোর সাথে আজকের topic হচ্ছে গিয়ে in my mind I want to talk you about the geopolitical situation going on in and around our life, in and
yes.
around our life, and which is our favorite topic as well. Whenever we get time, we talk. So there's the thing. Anyway, so the way I want to start like this. The big thing happening right now is obviously the Russia and Ukraine conflict. It can be a conflict, it can be special operation, it can be aggression, whatever you tell me, something's bad is happening over there.
True.
So before I gave my opinion, I'd like to ask you what's your thought in it. Then probably we can shift, we can move somewhere. So your idea on this, like from your point of view.
Well, if you ask me, in that case, I'd say this is infringing the rights of a free people on the whims of an egomaniac, a megalomaniac, and invading a free country for the sheer, what should I say? Because he can do it. Because basically he can do it. That's why you just, went in.
He did it.
Now, this sets a very bad precedence.
Okay.
And as you were telling, geopolitics around us, do remember that we humans are social creatures, and globalization and the means of communication that we have right now as a civilization has extended this society all across the world, and everyone, mind it, everyone around the world in one way or another is affected by this invasion.
Yes.
You might ask how. Well, the people in USA, they are facing inflation, the rise in oil prices. There are predictions that within 12 to 18 months, some African states are gonna have famines, because effectively Ukraine produces food for nearly 600 million people all around the world. They produce the food which is supplied to them, and then there are other factors too. I'm just telling you the very basic of it. So
Yeah.
if you ask me, this invasion, which is absolutely illegal, absolutely inhuman as to what they're doing, you cannot use thermobaric munitions on civilians, man. That's insane. You don't do that. They are doing this. The Russians are doing this on the whims of the new Hitler, fucking Putin. So, thing is, if you ask me what's my opinion, it's a shit show. Excuse
Okay.
my friend, it's a shit show.
Yeah. Now, speaking of shit show and everything, I'd like to give some disclaimer here. We are not going to take any sides. We are not going to who is right, who is wrong. I'm giving my opinion. You are going to give your opinion in
Yeah,
here.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So here,
I am seeing the things, those what I have said is due to the fact, for example, those I live in Bangladesh, right? You are from
yes,
Bangladesh too. So what about this situation? Think about it. If India uh, tomorrow says that, well, you are part of us for most of history, so why don't we just invade you?
yes.
That with the logic that Russia gave in invading Ukraine, think about it.
But then I have my questions to you
Yeah,
about one point. There are two big reasons provided by Russia in the beginning. Number one is denazify. Number two,
denazification.
yes, denazification, and then number two is security threat. Because Ukraine is supposed to be a neutral country which cannot join certain blah blah blah. We can argue on this. They have the right or not. I'm not going there. I'm saying that's the reason given by Russia. That's the
Russia.
yes. That's the Russian point. So why why do you think Russia became so aggressive or desperate in this year
Because
or this time? They had to take
you see,
some action, right? This is something you can understand. You see, desperate times, desperate measure, right? It's like their back is on the wall, so let's go forward. Let's crush. Why we push a country for some narrative that other country has to do something like that? What's your
now about that aspect, think about it.
first? You can talk
Ukraine,
about
when it
the
became,
security, and then we move to the denazify stuff.
yeah, sure, sure. Thing is, you see, there is a distinct problem with the Russian state, if you ask me.
Yes.
You might say that what is the problem? The Russian state, as we see or know it, uh, since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, you see, there had been there had been an effective deep state. I don't know if you know or understand the concept of deep state.
Yeah, I got
Deep
it.
state deep state comes into being when one system or one party or one particular group of people are in power for a very long time. And Soviet Union had the privilege, I would say, that they existed for 70 years, and doesn't therefore they had a very strong security apparatus. You should know it's the KGB and those people. So you see, the continuation of this comes from there. The KGB deep state didn't die with the Soviet Union.
No.
And the KGB deep state is the one which orchestrated everything after that. Let's give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's give you an example. For example, there is this Russian foreign minister during Boris Yeltsin. So he suggested some sort of partnership with the West, and you understand by this time the KGB has been broken up and has been divided into two distinct organizations. The SVR for external security, it is like the CIA, and the FSB,
For
which
the
is
local.
the internal security organization. It's like the FBI. So the head of SVR disagreed on this openly. Guess what happened? The foreign minister was thrown out of the cabinet within a week, and the SVR chief gets to be the new foreign minister. So this is one example. Now, if you can ask, why did they let Boris Yeltsin be the face? Now, after you fall and you go through some catastrophe like the dissolution of the Soviet Union, you understand this is 1/8 of of this planet,
Yeah.
this entire planet. So it is not a small place, and it has a very big, uh, what should I say? Not military infrastructure only, economic infrastructure, social infrastructure, and everything.
It's huge.
It's humongous. So this reorganization process is also very tedious. Doesn't therefore these people actually bided time and let people, forget as to the monstrosity that they were. What happened is they came to power. When Putin came to power, they came to power.
Definitely.
If you think that these concerns that they have shared, or rather, proclaimed in invading Ukraine, these ideas were not from the Russian state. Rather, it's from the Russian deep state. It's on the whims of this deep state, which is headed by Putin, and the inner circle of Putin. That is the deep state. I'm meaning these people are like that, deciding that they should go on and do whatever they feel like. Now, you must remember that Ukraine, back in the 90s, gave up not nearly. It's they
4,000.
had 600 nuclear weapons
No, no,
in
no, no.
their
4,000.
in their
Around 4,000 warhead was there.
yeah, 4,000 words. I was wrong. So they gave up all these nuclear weapons on the distinct agreement signed by the Russian Federation and the USA and all the other guys who were present there, and they agreed that Ukraine's sovereignty will not be, under threat by Russia or any other belligerent parties at that
Okay,
point.
here I want to add one point as well with you.
Yeah, sure.
Because if you go back that time and if you point out there is an agreement between these two parties and they hand over the nuclear and everything. But after the fall of Soviet, there was a gentleman agreement. There was not written agreement. There was a gentleman agreement that NATO will not be expanded. Right. So it was a
Well,
gentleman agreement. It was not a written agreement, right? But NATO did expand. And the
the
sole purpose of creation of NATO
yes,
was opposing or creating an alliance against Soviet Union or the Russia. Now it's Russia. So again, from the point of Russia's point of view, do you think it's a gentleman's way of betrayal? Because it's not written.
Dost, the thing is, you see, in geopolitics, there's nothing called gentleman's agreement. I'm sorry to say there's nothing called gentleman's agreement. It works like this. If there's an interest, a legitimate security or economic interest, we'll go in. That's how it goes. For example, if you think about it, we all, felt bad when Iraq was invaded. Yes,
Yes.
definitely. Something to
That,
feel bad that the people are suffering. But was it a bad thing? They removed a tyrant, a monstrosity like Saddam and his family. They actually, if you ask me, the USA has ensured one thing, that there is a democratic succession.
then then
And
I'm gonna ask you another question. Who gave the right to US? And we all know what was the main intention: removing Saddam or securing some future wealth in terms of liquid gold. So the intention, we can say anything, but it is at this time of the war, like
I
history, we
understand.
know what what is the
I
intent to,
understand the
and
intention that
yes,
you are meaning is actually very simple.
yeah,
Actually, very simple. As I said, economic and uh, security interests. Those things actually transcend the no, the barometers or the scales that we set for
yeah,
the people they're going to be affected and things of that sort. Yes, people are affected through that. People die. The
still
resultant
dying, right? It's still not a stable state right now.
it will never be stable. It will never be stable. Let me put it this way. All the places which still has the socio-political system of tribalism, they can never be stable. They are very easy to destabilize, and they will always be vulnerable to a destabilization.
Yes.
If you want examples, you can look at Libya, you can look at Afghanistan, you can look at Iraq. So these tribalistic mentalities, these places, uh, you can just divide tribes, divide their clans, make them fight each other, and basically, if you consider Saddam, he was like the biggest bully out there. The tribal chiefs are bullies, and the biggest bully actually bullies the other bullies and keeps them in line.
Yeah.
Basically, that's how this thing runs. You can find it in Chechnya. So this system is hardwired to fail. You can never ever fix it. Now you might say that ISIL came about due to the US invasion of Iraq.
Yes.
The ISIL invasion, yes, in some part was a result of that. It is a side effect, I would say. What what prompted it is the question we should ask. What prompted it is the fact that Saddam has, for decades, denigrated and oppressed the Shia majority population of Iraq.
Yes.
And when you do that, you have people who are aggrieved, who are genuinely aggrieved. And when they get a chance, they got a chance when the U.S. Invasion of Afghanistan took place. When they got a chance, they just simply took the chance and you know had the revenge. They went
So,
from being the oppressed to the oppressors,
uh,
and the Sunni Muslims, they were like, "What the hell? Why are we being now kicked around?"
this
And
this is
this
the
is a
easy way
legitimate
to
question.
divide and rule, right? This is the
So,
textbook
yeah,
example of divide and rule.
this has been used by the Roman Empire. This has been used by all the empires
All the
ever
empires.
since.
So we can,
But it's not an empire thing. It's a basic common sense. It's
but
basic
again,
common sense.
if
The thing is, though,
we,
what I'm trying to say is
yes,
this:
yes,
the Shia majority then went on a rampage. This rampage was countered by the Sunni Muslims by leading rebellions in multiple places.
then
If you
I,
remember,
yeah,
before the invasion of Mosul by ISIL, there had been a rebellion in Anbar province, a very
okay,
serious rebellion that the Iraqi army had to bomb from the air, and they lost control of the city of Fallujah, Ramadi, I don't exactly remember, for nearly 2 weeks. The thing is, there is a definite concern regarding these things, but as usual, as I told you, it's the tribal system which went into it. And
okay.
the
So
Sunni tribes, they actually incited the rebellion.
yeah, yeah, I understand this, but my point, going, if we go back to our Russia and Ukraine, so this narrative, if you see the pattern of the
Bros,
narrative,
can you
right?
please repeat the question? I'm I'm losing you.
It's okay now, or
Just-
still
It's okay.
you're
It's
having?
okay. It's okay. Now, can you please repeat the question? I missed it.
Yeah, yeah,
Missed it.
yeah. I'm saying if we go back to our Russia and Ukraine conflict and
Yeah.
establish a pattern, just hear me out now. So when US attacked Iraq, right? The reason, the narrative was Saddam is the bad guy. Saddam has WMD, blah blah blah, and Iraq happened. Iraq happened,
You're
and
breaking up, man. Dude, you're breaking up.
still breaking
Uh,
up.
now it's good. Now it's good. Now it's good. Now
All
it's
right.
good.
So what I'm trying to say is, if you see the pattern between these two attacks in Iraq and in Ukraine, and even if you go a little bit farther, um, Russia's invasion of Afghanistan, right? So the pattern,
Back in
if you,
'79.
yeah, yeah, the pattern is okay. Some guy is bad, and we are going to liberate, or this they have WMD, they are the aggression. These are the reason given, but at the same time, when Russia attacked Afghanistan, Al Qaeda established by the West because it was sponsored, the Mujahideen, sponsored by the CIA, trained by the CIA, provide arms like শুনতেছোস?
দোস্ত একটা সেকেন্ড দ্বারা আমি হটস্পট করে নিই আমার মনে হয় আমার নেটে সমস্যা করতেছে
Try.
আমার মনে হয় আমার নেটে সমস্যা করতেছে একটা সেকেন্ড একটু ওয়েট
Yeah,
করো
yeah, sure.
আমি হটস্পটটা করে নিই কারণ ইটস বেটার কথা ঠিক মতো মানে ভেঙে ভেঙে আসতেছে ইটস রিয়েলি ইউনো ডিসকাশন করতে হলে প্রপারলি ডিসকাশন করবে বুঝি করে লাভ আছে কোন এটা স্যাড একটা অবস্থা ডিজিটাল বাংলাদেশ হইছে দোস্ত বুঝছ না
না প্রবলেম আমার এখানে হয় মাঝে মাঝে না স্ট্রিমিং তো ইটস লাইক
এখন ঠিক মতো পাইতেছিস আমাকে
হ্যাঁ পাইতেছি তুই ঠিক আছোস
আমি ঠিক আছি
ওকে
এখন
so my question is after Afghanistan we found Taliban, so Taliban and Al Qaeda, right, kind of the Mujahideen. After Iraq we received ISIL, ISIS, Daesh, whatever the name you can, and then right now the same free market of arms is providing to each and everyone, please come and fight. The same narrative, the same reaction, action and reaction, but if you see, it's just A is changing, B is changing, the game is same. My question is, do you think, I don't know you agree or not. First, okay, first go back to the denazify thing. I don't care you agree or not. I don't care. But you have to be, if you follow the news, if you not the news, if you follow the real life scenario in Ukraine, you have to admit Ukraine was becoming a fair ground for the white supremacists. There was an open. This is it's not a secret. This is not a secret. This was going on. This is going on.
well
So
well let
that's
me,
why
let
I
me tell
told
you
you
something
first.
let me tell
Hold
you
on.
something
Let me finish. That's why I told you I don't care to agree koros ke koros. I don't care. So saying
okay
saying
okay
this,
let's do
saying
this
this, saying this now if you don't go far the supremacist, if you don't go this far to supremacist or not, at least the right wing, the extreme right wing, extreme left wing, we can say that the right now Ukraine is an open ground for fighting, right? The arms and do you think we are going to get something as a byproduct of this aggression at near future? I'm not saying now, probably 2 years later, probably 3 years later, but if you see the pattern, if you see the game, and if you see the byproduct. Please go.
Okay. Thing is about the Nazi thing, about
Yes.
the extreme right and the white supremacist and everything. Okay, you are basically talking about the Azov battalion, right?
Not just
The Azov
Azov
battalion.
is one of the, which is like it's already
Yes.
integrated within the
Azov,
Ukrainian army. So this is already
no,
integrated.
no.
No, no, no. Azov battalion
This
was,
is something. This is something that was promoted, that was actively promoted by
it is a
the
face.
Russian media.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a face. And Azov Brigade, yes, it is. It is extreme right wing. It is a neo-Nazi outfit, no questions asked. But why did it come into being?
Yeah.
That is the question. The question we should ask is why. The question is answered by the the revolution that took place. I forgot the Median revolution or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
Maidan revolution.
yes, that revolution unseated the Russian appointed dictator
Pro-Russian
Yanukovych.
government. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now, Viktor Yanukovych was a puppet of Putin. That you agree, right? And
Yeah.
now the Euromaidan revolution actually produced this situation. But now, do you think that majority of the Ukrainians there are they are neo-Nazis and white supremacists? I don't think so.
No,
I
no,
don't think so.
no.
Now, the Azov battalion was actually the Azov battalion joined up the Ukrainian army and fought in the Donbas region, specifically after the Russian backed
Crimea.
rebel they took over Donbas, and yeah, the cessation of Crimea, that cessation played a major role. Because think about it, if tomorrow India showed up and claimed Russia out of our country, what do you feel? Are you going to be okay with that? No, no one's gonna be okay with it. They are going to be pissed. So people needed a vent out mechanism, and Azov Brigade, one way or another, provided that. But do you know the actual number of people that Azov Brigade actually has? A brigade is supposed to be around the strength of 3,000 to 5,000 men. It might go up to even 8,000 in case of screwed up armies. But the point is, this brigade, so-called brigade, consists of only 900 people. 900 people do not represent the entirety of Ukraine. 900 people cannot be used as a reason to invade a country.
No, 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 definitely not.
There are far right outfits in France. Marine Le Pen's party. Go see what they're saying, what they're doing, man.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
insane.
That's what
There
I'm
are far right outfits in UK. There are far right outfits in US. There are
definitely.
far right outfits in Germany, for God's good sake. People got caught up with Nazi memorabilia inside the Bundeswehr barracks, the
Yes.
German army barracks. What happened? They got kicked out. Now, the point is, am I going to say because of one or two deranged soldiers or officers that the entirety of the German army has turned its face and
No,
has gone back to its Nazi era values? No, I don't.
definitely not.
So this this weird logic of Putin that
No,
you
I'm
need
not.
to denazify,
No,
you need to demilitarize, and most importantly, this guy gave a reason which says Ukraine doesn't exist as a country. What the actual f, man? Ukraine doesn't exist as a country. It has been independent for 30 years. And truth be
it,
told,
it
he
is
said that
literally the
Lenin
biggest
was the guy
country
who
in
gave
the Europe,
this.
largest.
The point is, those Ukraine historically, yes, it is true that Russia, as we know, the Russian civilization, as you say, the Slavic civilization, it
The
is
Russian
centered
Empire.
around uh, No,
Yes, it
I'm talking
started.
about a much earlier stage.
Yeah, the Russian Empire
It's Kiev.
started in the Kiev. Yes,
It is known as Kievan Rus. Kiev
yes.
and Rus. And if you know Russian a bit, you will understand it means Kiev and Rus. From that, only Rus remained. It gained power, and the Grand Duchy of Kiev, or the Principality of Kiev, I don't exactly remember, they separated. They were separate entities, man. The Principality of Moscow was a separate entity. The Principality of Kiev was a separate entity, and you cannot just mix shit up. The Russian Empire actually took over Ukraine. Fine, good enough. The USSR, what should I say, uh, inherited that excellent, no issues. But after 30 years of independence, if someone says a country doesn't exist and you need to denazify, you need to demilitarize, a sovereign state has every right to have its own military. Who the F is Putin to say that they cannot have their own military? What the hell, man?
Then
It's like saying you cannot breathe.
I don't know. We at least we both no, we, you and me, we both agree that what's happening is not good thing. But my question on this topic to you, that do you think when Russia asked the West, the NATO, don't come closer to our border, don't do this, you have our concerns, this is our concerns, please listen, or if you don't listen, we have to retaliate. This was said by the regime of Russia for the last 5 to 10 years. There was message given. It's not a surprise thing happened today or this month. It was inevitable, but my point, do you agree? It's not just the Russia to blame. The blame has to be shared, and the Ukrainian people is paying the price. Because the life of Ukraine, like the women, children, the civil people, are now in grave danger. Their future is in danger. But they are paying the price for the West forwarding movement, the NATO's movement. Obviously, that's like my idea, my thoughts. What's your opinion? 100% Russia is aggressive in here without any reason, or at least you give, okay, not 100%. For you, I'll be happy if you get at least 90%. But for me, it's 50-50.
Okay, the point is, if this is about the NATO expansion,
Not
there are
just
two
NATO
things.
expansion, the overall concern, because the message was given from the
Yeah,
Russia.
I'm going there. I'm just going there. Let me just start with this. You see, the NATO expansion, if they're concerned with having NATO in their borders, if Russia is so much concerned, then why didn't they retaliate when Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, the Baltic states, were incorporated into NATO back in the 90s?
Very
Where
small.
was their those Baltic states? Actually, geopolitically speaking, they are in a very critical place because they are near to St. Petersburg. They're
Okay, but that time Russia
their
was
port
not
city.
in a good situation as well internally,
Exactly, not a good situation. Fine, good enough.
but
Did
they
you
they
try to push
opposed.
back?
They said we are not
Then did
happy. You did it. They
Okay,
gave the
fine.
objection.
Where is the agreement? There is no agreement written on any paper.
No, no, I'm not
The
saying about
resolution is
agreement.
there.
They said it's we are concerned because you are moving closer to our border. The concern was delivered to the West. We don't like
Well,
the cooperation.
did Ukraine actually file an application to be part of NATO?
No, no, no. I'm not. What my answer
No,
was when Lithuania, Latvia was that was the thing. I'm talking about right
no.
now. So
Talking about right now. Did Ukraine apply for member status of NATO? No, they didn't. They didn't.
there are some talks going on at that time.
Talks can go on. Talks have been going on with Finland and Sweden for years, man.
Yes.
Did they join NATO? No.
No. Now Finland decides. Then it's a good question. You come to Finland. Why Ukraine cannot be a Finland? Because Finland was dealing with Russia and
Well,
NATO very smartly. And also, why can't Ukraine be a Switzerland?
you do not have a chance to be Switzerland when you are sitting at the jaws of a giant
Come on.
monster.
During the World War II, Switzerland was something, no?
Yes, it was, but it also had its own defense ready, up and
Yes,
prepared if
that's
any
true.
sort of invasion took place. Now, the thing about the NATO expansionism, NATO is an alliance, an organization. It's like this. It's like a club. It's a membership thing.
But it's
You
an
can apply for membership. I can apply for membership.
but
Whoever goes
this member
goes.
runs with tanks and arms, dosto. It's not just drinking club.
Yes, it's not a drinking club. Yes, true that. But
Yeah.
then, if you consider this club of elites in terms of military aspects and everything, Ukraine, yes, is a key player, could have been a key player in
Yeah.
terms of the geostrategic positioning that they have. But does that actually give you the right? You can there are other ways, diplomatic ways in which you can deal with this problem, can't you? Diplomacy exists for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
You
That's what
cannot
I'm
just throw
saying.
it away.
That's what I'm saying. So if I ask you, do do
Dost,
you
let me tell you something. Let me tell
yeah.
you something. Before this invasion took place, have you noticed the news out of Bosnia Herzegovina?
Yeah, man, it's my neighbor, man.
Yes, it's your neighbor. And what's been going on with the Serbs?
This is another ticking bomb.
The ticking bomb, yes. And the ticking bomb is armed, and it's controlled by Kremlin. A Kremlin puppet is running the show.
Yes.
And why do they want it there? The Serbs were supported by the Russians even when Russia was in a very bad state back in the 90s during
Yeah.
the war against the Bosnian War.
Yeah, yeah.
Why did they support? The thing is, they have their own agenda. So if tomorrow uh, the European Union and the other countries in Europe or the NATO alliance decides, let's get rid of the Serbs and see what happens. What's Russia gonna do about it? And by the way, about Nazification, I remember something. Some days ago, one of the warlords from Donbass died. I forgot that asshole's name. Uh, he used to kill POWs on a whim. So this guy, he was a neo-Nazi too. He was running a neo-Nazi outfit. So when a neo-Nazi is allied with the Russians, that's okay. That's perfectly all right. Yeah, go do whatever the fuck you feel like. But when it comes to some 900 idiots running around posing as Nazis, well, invade a country.
So
How
it's
does that
exact.
work, man?
Well, it's not a own new game, man. It's Mujahideen and Taliban. When Mujahideen was a
Let me
friend
tell
of
you
the
something.
Rambo.
Let
You
me
watched
tell
the
you something.
Rambo 3, right?
Dost,
The Stallone
Dost, no, I
movie.
haven't watched any of the Rambo movies,
So
by the way.
so you
The thing
should.
is,
Mujahideen was the friend of Rambo.
Dost, yes, was the friend of Rambo, the West, and everyone. Now try and understand something, Dost. This
Yes.
is something that we Muslims fail to understand, and that's why we actually go through this repetitive pattern of extremism. Being it is Muslims who actually suffer from the Muslim terrorists,
Yeah.
not West,
That's true. That's
not the
100%
West.
true. Yes.
Because all of this started, if you let me explain the scenario, because uh, in this aspect I have some research and some knowledge, a specialization, I would say. The thing is, the terrorists that actually come about in 2014, the ISIL, or whoever followed it, it is a direct result of the Soviet Union and its actions everywhere in the world. And you can say how it's everywhere in the world. I'm going to explain it to you. From the onset of the invasion of Afghanistan in 79, the extreme Muslim ideologies of Wahhabism was preached, practiced, and promoted all around the Muslim world. Everyone went into Afghanistan, tried to be the Mujahideen, the freedom fighters, and shit of that sort. And then it created what? Al Qaeda.
I, I,
Now,
I
Al
wait.
Qaeda comes
Just,
from
just
that.
1 second. Just 1 second here. So, but the Wahhabism is supported by the West, the CIA, not Soviet.
It was done specifically. The propagation of Wahhabism was done by the CIA. Yes, I would agree to that. But why did they do it? Because they have to fight
To fight the Soviet, they
the
created,
Soviets. Now,
yes, they
the
created
thing
an
is,
army.
yes, it gave them an instant army. So if you, as I've told you before, the security and economic concerns of a place transcends human interests. So the thing that happened with these people, they were radicalized, they were used, yeah, and it is like the blowback of a good interlock. Okay, so fast forward some years, Al Qaeda is now anti-Western, blah blah blah. They have bombed Kenya, and shit have gone wrong. And then came 9/11. 9/11 came up. Afghanistan is invaded by the US. Then the invasion of Iraq came by. Now, invasion of Iraq is where ISIL's predecessor organization, Al Qaeda in Iraq, comes into play. Al Qaeda in Iraq was headed by Abu Musab al Zarqawi. This guy was so ruthless and so barbaric that even Bin Laden himself used to, loathe them. Think about it, a
Yeah.
terrorist loathing another terrorist. How bad it needs to be. Now, this faction later on evolved into what we now know as ISIL, IS, Daesh, or whatever the hell they're going by right now. This problem was specifically started due to, this is a domino effect. You push the domino, it starts falling down. So this was started in 79 by the invasion of Afghanistan by the Soviet Union. Fun fact, when it comes to hijacking airplanes, do you know a thing? There's this specific KGB colonel, I forgot his name. This guy claims to be the mastermind. He quote unquote, it goes like this: it is I who invented the art of hijacking airplanes. They actually gave this idea to PLO to
Yes.
hijack Israeli air airlines and other airlines which flew into Israel. The point is, if you see, there is a pattern. The Soviets were like the master craftsmen of evil all around the world. And now, in this 21st century, we're talking about 20th century. It's gone, right? No, it's not gone. In 21st century, if you consider the situation that we are in right now, This was done. The entire world. Look at all the autocratic states we have around the world. Venezuela, Nicaragua, uh, DPRK, um, name some more. I cannot name one. You know which one I cannot name. You
We
understand?
cannot name the unnamed one. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So all these states, Myanmar, okay,
yes.
all these states are all sponsored either militarily or financially. They are sponsored by two
Exactly.
countries only. One is the People's Republic of China, God Emperor Xi Jinping, and then the God Emperor Putin. These
Yes.
people are there. You will find these people in every place where people are being oppressed, democratic rights are being violated, their human rights are being violated. You will find these two SOBs out there every time.
Okay. So, but you miss the US now.
How did I miss the US? Well, you are right about one thing. There is a problem with the US.
Not
Let me tell
two,
you that. Let me
three.
tell you. Let me tell you that. We all remember Obama fondly, right?
Yes. And it
Oh my
depends.
God, he was such a nice guy with
It
such
depends.
a nice speech.
Well, again,
He was a
it's
very, very, you know, articulate orator and everything. Well, let me tell you something about this
this is the
SOB. I'm
biggest
gonna call him an
MF.
SOB. Well, this guy, this guy actually fed all these dictators around the world their favorite food: appeasement and inaction. Appeasement and inaction. How?
Okay.
Appeasement, for example, this guy is like, okay, let's be friends with Cuba, let's be friends with Fidel Castro and the nice guys in Havana. Let's have some Havana cigars, even though he stopped smoking as he claims to be. But the point is, he did so. Why would you do that? Is there a
Why?
reason for it?
Why don't you?
You don't need to, because these are some communist SOBs who actually threatened your mainland US by facilitating Soviet missiles. That's why you don't. There is a concern of
Long
principle.
time ago. You can be friends
It is
now.
no, you cannot be. The regime hasn't changed. Thus, the regime hasn't changed. Mind it. The
Okay.
regime hasn't
Don't
changed. Second,
look. There is
let's
a two
talk about
way.
Syria.
No,
Thus, let
no.
me finish. Let me
Yeah,
finish.
yeah.
Let me
Go
finish.
for it. Yes.
Let's talk about Syria. If
Yes.
Assad uses chemical weapons or the Russians use chemical weapons, it's a line in the sand we draw, and you cross the red line, it's gonna be some shit. And he didn't say exactly what will be the measures that will be taken or implemented by the United States, did he? He didn't.
Now.
He did not learn anything. He just said it, and after Assad carried out multiple chemical attacks, what was done? Nothing. And what idea it gave to the world? That the US can be trifled with. It's okay. On the other hand, this guy was running drone programs, illegal drone programs inside Pakistan, inside Afghanistan, and what not, where and where not. I don't exactly remember. He expanded the drone program. He expanded it. He expanded the extent of the program, and it then included multiple continents.
Yeah, yeah. I
Now,
think he has the highest kill list as well.
exactly, he had the highest kill. Now, he claims to be a messiah of peace. He went into Al Azhar University and said Assalamu alaikum, and everyone is like, "Oh my God, this guy is so great, so nice, blah blah blah." What the hell, man? You appeased, and through your inaction, all these actions of all these tyrants, those, if you will remember, Russia invaded Georgia in
Yes.
2008.
Yes. Yes.
What did the US do? They took away parts of a sovereign nation. What did the
Yeah.
US do?
Nothing.
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 Nothing. Now, when you set precedences like this, it will come to haunt you later on, which is happening right now. Now then afterwards came Trump. Well, let's be honest about this. I like Trump
Yes.
till January 6th.
I
Till
mean,
January 6th.
you still love.
No, I don't. This guy, this guy is now telling that Putin is a genius and it's a good idea to invade Ukraine. Are you kidding me?
Okay, so the love is finished, looks like.
No, the love is finished, man. Love is finished a long time ago when I saw January 6th happen.
Okay.
Those democracy is something. When you don't have it, you will understand the the
Importance of
worth,
it, yes.
of it, the pain of not having it. So I can tell you something, that when I saw these people violate one of the most sacred institutions, one of the most sacred democratic institutions in the world, the United States Congress, well, tell you what, that's something that you can go back from. And second, this guy, I later saw in a video, he was laughing his ass off looking at this. What sort of a maniac does that? And guess what? Who allowed Trump to be elected into presidency? Whose inaction and everything? It was Barack Hussein Obama. Did we see that pattern before? Did we think about it?
No.
We should know. Biden, honest to God, I am no fan of the Democratic Party because it contains assholes like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and people of that sort. They're sort of like, they're communists, honestly speaking. They're just donning on a mask of democracy and roaming around, but they are communists, So these commies, yes, they are there, but I don't like the Democratic Party for that. But then also, I respect President Biden and what he has done till now. These
Okay.
are very calculated, very matured, and well thought geopolitical and political steps that he has taken. I don't know about the internal situation of the US. I will not comment on that. I'm not staying in the US. I cannot say how it's going over there. But
Yeah, that's
if you
different
ask
thing. Yeah.
me that how does the geopolitical situation look to you during the Biden administration, I would say master stroke, man. Honest to God, master stroke. He said, I'm going to use I'm going to concentrate on human rights and democratic values and promoting them all around the world. That's what he said, right?
Yes.
And see what he did. He actually, he actually is walking the talk, unlike Mr. Obama. So
Okay. Now,
if you say that these countries, the three big countries, I think I have covered all the three, right?
yes, yes. So going because we are almost in 1 hour timeline. So
Yeah.
I'm going to in the last bit, going back to my original questions. So do you give some portion of responsibility to the West for this chaos or not? Very short. Is there any shared responsibilities or no? It's all Mr. Putin's action and reaction, desperate. He's mad, he's crazy. The West is
Those,
good.
you
Good luck.
wanted a short answer. I'm gonna give you a short answer, a very
Please,
short answer.
please.
Well, you and your audience will have to go through it by yourselves because I'm not gonna explain it to you.
No,
But
we don't
by all
think about
means,
the audience. We
explore
think
it.
about us. Yes.
Yeah, explore the
Audience
idea.
will
What I
take their
said.
decisions from our point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, you will. When you explore this idea, you will find it very interesting. Uh, there's this professor, I forgot his tenure, in which university he's in right now, but he's like one of the leading geopolitical thinkers of our time, Professor Mearsheimer,
Okay.
George Mearsheimer, if I'm not wrong. So this guy, he came up with this theory of offensive neorealism. So practically, this is an this is extension of the idea of real politic. If you have studied political science or international relations, you will know that real politic is where you get rid of the ideological biases, the emotions regarding decisions. So you take a solid logical decision regardless of the other biases that might affect it. Expanding on that came realism and neorealism, and this school of thought that Mr. Mearsheimer is preaching, which is known as offensive neorealism. This school of thought actually plays by these rules that are happening in Ukraine, you know. So if you ask me, yes, the West is complicit to this due to their due to their complacency. Germany had been sending helmets and medical equipment to Ukraine before the invasion happened. They didn't have effective military in Germany because they're afraid that they might become a monstrosity. I understand that. I completely understand that. But then comes the question, will you, shying away from your history, stop the future? It will not. You have
Okay.
seen Lord of the Rings, right?
I,
You have
I,
seen Lord of the Rings.
I'm gonna definitely push you to give me a number out of 100%. Give me a number of the shared responsibility. It is 100 or 0, 10, 90, 80, 20, something. You have to give me, man.
Those there's no scalar quantity in this.
No, 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 no. You have to give me something, or at least you have to tell me yes or no. If you don't want to give the number, do you
Well,
believe
yes,
it's a shared
in a way,
responsibility? Yes or no?
in a way, it has its responsibilities because of you have
The
seen
cause
the NATO
and the
alliance,
effect.
degrade into something which is like a old guys club, and nobody
Yes.
was sharing the responsibility, fiscal responsibility or military responsibility properly. But this invasion of Ukraine rejuvenated the raison d'etre of the alliance and the resolve of its members. And honest to God, those we are seeing history happen right before our eyes, if you think about it.
Yes,
And
yes.
you should remember the speech that Mr. Churchill gave, uh, which is like an iron curtain has descended on upon this continent. And if you see the speech by Ursula von der Leyen in the European Commission some days back, I saw the same zeal, I saw the same spirit, and honest to God, I am happy to see it that they have come to their senses, that they are neighbors to a monstrosity. I am not telling Russian people are monsters. I'm not
No, no,
telling
no. We're talking
an
about the
ordinary
regime,
person is a
not the
monstrosity.
people. Yes.
I'm not gonna tell you that. They're nice people, man. It's the power hungry, megalomaniac people like Putin and his inner circle who
Then
are responsible for this disaster.
the very, very last question, because when these things happen, I thought it was my personal idea. It came wrong. That within 7 to 10 days, things will be finished, whatever happened. But now I fail to understand what's the end game here. So this is my last question to you. What's the end game when they're going to pull out? They're not going to stay there forever. That's I believe.
They
I
cannot
want to
stay there
believe.
forever.
I
They
want to
cannot.
believe. I want to believe.
Because
What's the end game?
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. They cannot stay there.
No.
They cannot stay there. You see, these people, they have failed with the entire might of the Russian army, which is, it had been favored to be one of the finest. And we have seen in the last few days as to how they have been, you know, they have been made fools of.
Yes.
Could not occupy any of the major cities. Kharkiv is still there, Kiev is still there, Chernihiv is still there. They kidnapped the mayor of Melitopol, but the resistance still fights.
No,
They
he's
today got
released
into
as well.
Mariupol,
Yeah.
but the resistance still fights. They cannot control a single city. They could not take control of any of the major cities that matter. Then what the hell, man? And mind the fact, this is from a very strictly military perspective. I'm speaking here. You cannot march into a 21st century battle or a 21st century war with a 20th century doctrine. And that is exactly what the Russians did. They marched into Ukraine into a 21st century war with 20th century doctrine and 20th century equipments. You cannot survive that. And now you see how they are being slaughtered. The Russian army, no matter how big it is, it cannot sustain these losses. The loss of lives, well, the Soviet Union and its successor, Russian Federation, they all followed this meat grinder tactics. Send in the conscripts, let them die. Then you send in the professionals to clear up the field. Yes, to some extent, that worked in Chechnya maybe, but here it's a whole different ball game, my friend. You cannot go in and do that. You cannot do
The
that.
Okay,
The
we
truth
have.
alone will
I
allow
think
you
we
to
are
do that.
closing down into 60 minutes
Yep.
markup. Last thing, only yes or no. Do you afraid of in our lifetime we are going to experience some nuclear bullshit? Like not our lifetime, in near future, in month or two.
In a month or two, you have a maniac like Putin with a nuclear button. What do you think?
The the war is not far from my home, man. Not far from my home.
I know. And truth be told, if nukes start flying, uh, you see, in terms of nuclear warfare, there are two things you need to consider. First, there is a term called counter force.
Yeah.
Then there's a term called counter value. So nuclear attacks are either counter force or counter value. Counter force attacks are against military and specifically military and defense installations. But counter value attacks are against cities and civilians, decimating a country. The thing is, the Russians, they have this tendency.
They don't
Uh,
care.
no, not only they don't care, they have this tendency since the Soviet Union. Uh, they had the buffer states of the Eastern Bloc, the Warsaw Pact countries, for a reason, because they were afraid if Russia is to be invaded, it always gets invaded historically from the European plainlands, which is like through Belarus, Ukraine axis. You
Yeah.
understand? So extend the perimeter. Thus, you are playing a delaying battle. So these people, they had a plan. It was later on found in a dustbin in East Germany after the dissolution of East Germany and the unification of
I,
the
I, I
German.
read the story as well. Yes.
If you go through that plan, you will see these people had this plan called 15 days to CN or
Yeah.
15 days to, I don't exactly remember. So this plan included nuking Copenhagen twice within 48 hours. Do you know why?
Please
To,
tell.
the explanation was to destroy the morale of the people of that country. Now, killing millions, leveling cities, is that a way to go? Is that a human way to go?
I hope
That is
not.
the question I'm going to ask.
Definitely. Anyway, man, it was really nice to talk, and I yes, I have my ending, and we can say goodbye. Just wait. I'll show you some.
Okay.
Oh man.